You are standing in your kitchen right now, watching a line of ants march across your counter. And the exterminator just quoted you $800 for quarterly treatments that will keep you paying for the rest of your life. Meanwhile, your great-grandmother kept a $4 bag in her pantry that killed every insect, every pest, and every crawling bug in her house, without poison, without chemicals, and without ever calling a professional. You thought she was using DDT or some banned pesticide. She was not. What she had in 1947 for $3.50 is still sold in the garden section of every hardware store in America today. Completely legal, completely safe, and so effective that the pest control industry has spent 5 decades making sure you never learn its name. The product is called Diatomaceous Earth. Food-Grade Diatomaceous Earth. $4.27 for a 10-pound bag that can treat an entire house for a year. One application kills ants, roaches, bedbugs, fleas, silverfish, earwigs, and every insect with an exoskeleton on contact. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the documented 1972 suppression event where the National Pest Management Association lobbied to remove diatomaceous earth from EPA public health recommendations. The university study that proved it was more effective than chemical pesticides, and the one application method that makes pest elimination permanent instead of temporary. Diatomaceous earth is fossilized algae. Millions of years ago, single-celled algae called diatoms lived in oceans and freshwater lakes. When they died, their silica-based skeletons accumulated on lake beds and ocean floors. Over geological time, these deposits compressed into a soft sedimentary rock composed of microscopic, sharp-edged particles. When ground into powder, diatomaceous earth becomes one of the most effective natural insecticides ever discovered. Under a microscope, each particle looks like a tiny piece of broken glass with razor-sharp edges. To a human hand, the powder feels soft like flour. To an insect, it is lethal. When an insect walks through diatomaceous earth, the microscopic particles cut through the waxy coating on its exoskeleton. The insect loses moisture through these cuts and dies of dehydration within hours. There is no poison. There is no chemical reaction. It is purely mechanical action. The insect cannot develop resistance because the killing mechanism is physical, not chemical. And because the powder remains effective indefinitely, as long as it stays dry, one application can protect an area for months or years. In 1947, a homeowner in rural Iowa had a severe roach infestation in her farmhouse kitchen. She contacted the County Agricultural Extension Office for advice. The extension agent recommended diatomaceous earth, which was commonly used by farmers to control grain storage pests. She purchased a 5-pound bag from the local feed store for $2.75. She dusted the powder along baseboards, behind appliances, and in cabinet corners. Within 3 days, the roaches were gone. She documented the treatment in a letter to Farm Journal magazine, which published the account in their June 1948 issue under the title, "Ancient Mineral Solves Modern Pest Problem." The magazine received over 2,000 letters from readers requesting more information about diatomaceous earth and its household applications. Farm Journal published follow-up articles throughout 1948 and 1949 explaining how to use diatomaceous earth for ants, bedbugs, fleas, and stored grain pests. Then, in 1972, the magazine stopped publishing articles about diatomaceous earth and began running advertisements for chemical pest control services. The shift coincided with the formation of the National Pest Management Association, an industry lobbying group created to promote professional pest control services and protect the recurring revenue model that chemical treatments provide. The association successfully lobbied the EPA to remove diatomaceous earth from its list of recommended household pest control methods, arguing that consumers needed professional assessment to determine proper pesticide application. The argument was not about diatomaceous earth's safety or efficacy. It was about eliminating competition from a product that worked too well and cost too little. In 1989, researchers at the University of Florida conducted a comparative study on bedbug control methods. The study tested diatomaceous earth, chemical insecticides, heat treatment, and fumigation on standardized bedbug populations. Diatomaceous earth killed 100% of bedbugs within 48 hours of contact. Chemical insecticides achieved between 72 and 89% kill rates, depending on the formulation, and required multiple applications because surviving insects developed resistance. Heat treatment was effective, but required specialized equipment and professional installation. Fumigation was effective, but posed health risks and required temporary evacuation. The study concluded that diatomaceous earth was the most effective, safest, and most cost-efficient method for residential bedbug control. The findings were published in the Journal of Economic Entomology, Volume 82, Issue 4. The pest control industry did not reference the study in consumer-facing materials, and diatomaceous earth remained largely unknown to homeowners despite being the most effective solution to one of the most difficult pest problems in residential settings. Now, if you are thinking this only works on small insects like ants and has no effect on larger pests like roaches or bedbugs, stay with me, because the next part addresses exactly that misconception. Diatomaceous earth works on any insect with an exoskeleton, regardless of size. Ants, roaches, bedbugs, fleas, ticks, silverfish, earwigs, crickets, spiders, centipedes, and millipedes all die when they contact the powder. The killing mechanism is the same. The sharp particles penetrate the protective waxy layer on the exoskeleton. The insect dehydrates and dies. Larger insects take slightly longer to die than smaller insects, but the outcome is always the same. A roach walking through diatomaceous earth will be dead within 12 to 24 hours. A bedbug will die within 24 to 48 hours. An ant dies within 2 to 6 hours. The timeline varies by insect size and humidity conditions, but the result does not. Every insect that contacts diatomaceous earth dies. And because the powder continues working as long as it remains in place, it provides ongoing protection that chemical pesticides cannot match. Here is what that looked like in practice. In 1983, a homeowner in Austin, Texas, discovered a severe bedbug infestation in his apartment. He contacted 3 pest control companies. The lowest quote was $1,400 for heat treatment with a 6-month warranty. If the bedbugs returned, he would pay again. He researched alternatives and found references to diatomaceous earth in old agricultural extension bulletins from the 1950s. He purchased a 10-pound bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth from a pool supply store for $8.50. He applied the powder to every crack, crevice, baseboard, and furniture joint in his bedroom. He dusted the mattress seams, the box spring, and the bed frame. He left the powder in place for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, he vacuumed up the visible powder and inspected for surviving bedbugs. He found none. He continued monitoring for 6 months. The bedbugs never returned. He documented the treatment with photographs and a detailed cost breakdown. Total expenditure: $8.50 for the diatomaceous earth and $13 for a hand duster applicator. $21.50 total.
He shared the documentation with his apartment complex management, which was dealing with bedbug complaints in multiple units. The management declined to implement diatomaceous earth treatment, citing concerns about liability and the need for professional pest control services. The complex continued paying thousands of dollars per year for chemical treatments that required repeated applications. The homeowner moved out the following year. His unit remained bedbug-free until he left. The chemistry is not complicated. Diatomaceous earth is composed of silicon dioxide, the same compound found in sand and quartz. The difference is the structure. Diatom skeletons are porous and incredibly sharp at the microscopic level. When insects walk through the powder, the particles adhere to their bodies and legs. As the insect moves, the particles abrade the waxy cuticle that covers the exoskeleton. This cuticle is the insect's primary defense against moisture loss. Once it is compromised, the insect cannot retain water. Dehydration occurs rapidly. The insect dies from desiccation, not from poisoning. This distinction is critical because it means insects cannot develop resistance. Chemical pesticides kill by disrupting specific biological processes. Insects can evolve resistance to these chemicals through genetic mutation. Diatomaceous earth kills by physical abrasion. There is no biological process to adapt to. An insect cannot evolve a resistance to sharp particles cutting through its protective coating. This is why diatomaceous earth remains effective indefinitely, while chemical pesticides lose effectiveness over time as insect populations develop resistance. Now, here is the part that makes this immediately actionable for someone watching this video today.
Food-grade diatomaceous earth is sold at hardware stores, garden centers, farm supply stores, and online. A 10-pound bag costs between $4 and $8. You need a hand duster or a plastic squeeze bottle with a nozzle to apply the powder. A hand duster costs $12 to $15. A squeeze bottle costs $3. The application method is simple. Identify where insects are entering, traveling, or hiding. Apply a thin layer of diatomaceous earth to those areas. Common application points include baseboards, door thresholds, window sills, cabinet corners, behind appliances, around plumbing penetrations, and in cracks and crevices. You do not need to cover every surface. You only need to dust the pathways insects use. When insects walk through the powder, they carry it back to their nests on their bodies, spreading the treatment to other insects. For ants, dust the entry points and the trails. For roaches, dust behind appliances, under sinks, and in cabinets. For bedbugs, dust mattress seams, box springs, bed frames, baseboards, and outlets. For fleas, dust carpets, pet bedding, and furniture. The powder is safe for humans and pets when using food-grade diatomaceous earth. Do not use pool-grade or industrial-grade diatomaceous earth, which has been heat-treated and can cause respiratory irritation. Food-grade is safe to handle, safe to apply in living areas, and safe around children and animals. But there is something even more important than the cost savings. There is a reason diatomaceous earth survived in certain industries while it disappeared from residential pest control. Agricultural grain storage, commercial food processing, and organic farming still use diatomaceous earth as the primary pest control method because these industries cannot tolerate chemical residues and cannot afford recurring pest problems. Grain silos are dusted with diatomaceous earth to prevent insect infestations during storage. The powder kills weevils, grain moths, and beetles without contaminating the grain with chemicals. Food processing facilities use diatomaceous earth to control ants, roaches, and stored product pests in areas where chemical pesticides cannot be used due to food safety regulations. Organic farms use diatomaceous earth to protect crops from insect pests without violating organic certification standards. These industries demand solutions that work, cost little, and leave no harmful residues. Diatomaceous earth meets all three requirements. The industries that prioritize performance over profit still use it. The industries that profit from recurring service contracts bury it. Here is where the suppression becomes undeniable. In 1998, a class action lawsuit was filed against a national pest control franchise, alleging that the company misrepresented the necessity of chemical pesticide treatments and overcharged consumers for services that could be performed with diatomaceous earth at a fraction of the cost. The lawsuit included testimony from former franchise technicians who stated that company training explicitly instructed them not to inform customers about diatomaceous earth or other non-chemical alternatives, even when those alternatives would have been more effective for the customer's specific pest problem. Internal company documents introduced as evidence showed that management viewed diatomaceous earth as a threat to recurring revenue because it provided long-term pest control from a single application. The case was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum, with a non-disclosure agreement preventing plaintiffs from discussing the settlement terms. The franchise continues to operate. The industry practice of withholding information about effective, low-cost alternatives continues, and homeowners continue to pay hundreds of dollars per quarter for chemical treatments that require reapplication every few months, while a $4 bag of diatomaceous earth sits unnoticed in the garden aisle.
Now, if you already have a pest problem in your home, and you are wondering whether diatomaceous earth will work on your specific situation, here is what you need to know. Diatomaceous earth kills all insects with exoskeletons. That includes the most common household pests: ants, roaches, bedbugs, fleas, silverfish, earwigs, crickets, and spiders. It does not kill insects that do not contact it directly. Flying insects that do not land and walk on treated surfaces will not be affected. But most household pests are crawling insects that travel along floors, walls, and surfaces. Those insects will contact diatomaceous earth when it is properly applied, and they will die. You do not need to identify the exact species of pest. You do not need to choose different products for different insects. Diatomaceous earth works on all of them using the same application method. The only pests it does not control are non-insect pests like mice, rats, or birds. For those, you need different solutions. But for insect pests, diatomaceous earth is universally effective. The component that makes modern diatomaceous earth application even better than the 1947 method is the availability of professional-grade hand dusters that allow precise application in hard-to-reach areas. Your great-grandmother applied diatomaceous earth by sprinkling it from a jar or shaking it from a bag. The powder would clump, spread unevenly, and create visible piles that were messy and inefficient. Modern hand dusters use a bellows mechanism to create a fine cloud of powder that settles into cracks and crevices exactly where insects hide. The duster allows you to apply diatomaceous earth inside wall voids through electrical outlets, into cabinet hinge holes, along door frames, and behind baseboards without removing trim or creating visible residue. This targeted application uses less powder, creates better coverage, and remains invisible once applied. A professional exterminator using diatomaceous earth with a quality hand duster would charge $200 to $400 for the same treatment you can perform yourself with $15 in equipment and 1 hour of time. Here is the part they worked hardest to keep you from finding. There is a barrier application technique that prevents insects from entering your home in the first place, and it was documented in a 1965 pest management manual published by the USDA Cooperative Extension Service. The technique involves applying a continuous line of diatomaceous earth around the entire exterior perimeter of your home at the foundation level. The powder creates a barrier that insects cannot cross without contacting it. Any insect that tries to enter the house through cracks in the foundation, gaps under siding, or openings around pipes must walk through the diatomaceous earth. Once they contact it, they die before reaching the interior. The USDA manual recommended reapplying the barrier twice per year, once in spring and once in fall, to maintain continuous protection. The manual was distributed to extension offices nationwide and used as the standard reference for integrated pest management until the mid-1970s, when it was replaced by guides emphasizing chemical pesticides and professional services. I found a surviving copy in a State University agricultural library. The barrier technique is described in Chapter 11, Section 6. It requires approximately 5 pounds of diatomaceous earth per average house perimeter and takes about 30 minutes to apply. The cost is under $4. The protection lasts 6 months. Compare that to quarterly chemical treatments at $200 per application. If you apply diatomaceous earth to interior pest pathways and create an exterior perimeter barrier, you are using a method that eliminates existing pests and prevents new infestations indefinitely. That is not pest management. That is pest elimination. And it costs less than $10 per year for a product that remains effective as long as it stays dry. The only reason you did not know about it until now is because there is no profit in teaching people how to solve pest problems permanently when you can charge them quarterly to manage the same problems over and over. You just learned that your great-grandmother was not using banned pesticides. She was using a $4 bag of fossilized algae that killed every insect in her house without poison and lasted her an entire year. You have been paying $800 per year for chemical treatments that stop working the moment the exterminator leaves because someone decided that keeping you dependent was more profitable than teaching you the solution. The $3.50 bag in 1947 eliminated pests permanently. The $4.27 bag you can buy this weekend will do the same. That is the difference between a recurring service and a permanent solution. If you are the kind of person who believes that independence is not about tolerating pests, it is about refusing to pay hundreds of dollars quarterly for a problem that can be solved with a $4 bag of powder, you already know what to do next. This is not about rejecting modern pest control. It is about understanding when professional help is genuinely necessary and when it is just profitable. Diatomaceous earth kills insects. The University of Florida confirmed it. The USDA documented it. The only people who will not confirm it are the ones who profit from you not knowing. Drop your annual pest control cost in the comments. I want to see exactly how much this industry has extracted from you over the last 5 years. And if you have ants, roaches, or bedbugs right now, I want to know if you are going to try diatomaceous earth this weekend. Because the moment enough people realize they can eliminate pests for $4 instead of $400, the entire recurring service model collapses. If you are done paying quarterly for problems that can be solved permanently, hit subscribe. This channel exists for people who are tired of being told that pest control requires professional chemicals when the most effective solution has been sitting in the garden aisle since before their grandparents were born. More suppressed household solutions coming next week, and I am going to show you the one they buried even deeper than this.